Did you know J.K. Rowling was jobless, broke, and nearly homeless when she finished the first Harry Potter book? She was a single mother, struggling to make ends meet, and often had to write in cafes just to keep her tiny apartment warm. The world she created, full of magic and hope, was born out of some of the darkest days of her life. She sent that manuscript to 12 different publishers, each time carefully packaging her dreams and sending them out into the unknown, hoping for a glimmer of possibility. Every single one said no. The rejections piled up, each one a reminder of how far away her dream seemed. Now, imagine pouring your soul into a story, and the world keeps telling you it's not good enough. The silence after each rejection can feel deafening, and the doubt starts to creep in, whispering that maybe you should give up. That's the kind of doubt most of us would buckle under, but not Rowling. She felt the weight of every rejection, but she refused to let it crush her spirit. She didn't suddenly become fearless. She didn't wake up one day immune to fear or disappointment. Instead, she learned to live with it, to keep moving forward even when her confidence was shaken. In fact, at her Harvard commencement speech, she said, "Failure meant a stripping away of the inessential." She admitted her fear. She talked about depression. She spoke openly about how hitting rock bottom forced her to focus on what truly mattered. But she didn't let those doubts define her. She kept writing, even when it felt pointless, even when the world seemed to be saying no at every turn. Instead, she wrote through the pain. She poured her struggles, her fears, and her hopes into every page, using writing as a way to process her emotions and keep her dreams alive. She leaned into the power of her story, a simple idea about a boy wizard who didn't belong. That story became her anchor, something she could hold on to when everything else felt uncertain. And that simple story was enough to keep her going. It was her light in the darkness, a reminder that even the smallest spark of hope can grow into something extraordinary. See, it's not about never feeling doubt. Doubt is a natural part of any creative journey, and it shows up for everyone, even the most successful among us. It's about what you do when doubt shows up. Do you let it stop you? Or do you use it as a reason to keep going, to prove to yourself that your story matters? Rowling used rejection as fuel. Each no became a challenge, a reason to try again, to refine her work, and to believe in her story even more fiercely. Every no was a step toward her yes. Every setback was a lesson. Every disappointment a building block for her resilience. What's wild is the publisher who finally took a chance on her only printed 500 copies at first. It was a tiny print run, almost a whisper in the world of publishing. Half of those went to libraries. The odds of her book becoming a global phenomenon seemed impossibly small, but that was all she needed. One chance, one yes, one person who believed. Sometimes, that's all it takes to change everything. She used her failure as a foundation. Every hardship, every rejection became part of the bedrock that supported her future success. She said, "Rock bottom became the solid foundation on which I rebuilt my life." That's powerful. It's a reminder that sometimes the lowest points in our lives can become the starting point for something incredible. So if you're staring at doubt today, if you feel like your story isn't worth telling or your dream is just out of reach, remember J.K. Rowling. Remember that even the most magical stories can come from the most ordinary or even painful beginnings. She wasn't a superstar when she started. She was just someone with a story and the courage to tell it even when no one else believed. She kept going, word by word, page by page. Your simple story might be the one that changes everything. You never know whose life you might touch or what doors you might open just by sharing your truth. But you'll never know unless you let it out. The world needs your voice, your perspective, your courage. If you found a little hope in this story, subscribe for more. I'm here to remind you, doubt is just the beginning. Every great story starts with a moment of uncertainty. What matters is what you do next.